Good morning, guys, and welcome to today's vlog. I am not sure how many days I'm going to include in today's vlog. I really don't have too much going on today, but I do have baby girl's fetal echo today, so I figured I would get a few clips here in the morning. The boys do have their 4-year checkup on Wednesday, so I'll get some footage Wednesday, and then we'll kind of see what makes up this vlog. I did have a whole plan this morning to montage and vlog the morning, but I totally forgot that Harris was not going into work today because he has a funeral to attend, and because of that the boys were on like weekend mode still. They didn't understand that it was Monday and that they had school, and so it was super chaotic getting them out of the house this morning. But I did just drop them off at school. I'm outside of Target getting ready to pick up some quick things for the boys. They need some wipes. We barely use baby wipes now at this point, but I do like to have one pack on hand in the house for messes and spills and stickiness, and we ran out, so I need to pick up those. And then from here I need to head to my fetal echo appointment. They did tell me on the phone that it does or could take up to 2 hours, and my appointment's at 11. Right now it's almost 10. It's a little bit of ways away, so I'm most likely going to have to pick the boys up right for my fetal echo appointment. I have to see when I get there. I need to make sure I'm out of there by like 1:30, which is like just on the 2-hour mark. But I figured I would start the vlog now while I had a minute. I'm actually really hungry. I have a yogurt in my bag, but I do think I'm going to run into Target quick and get this out of the way. And then if I have some time after that, I'm going to down that yogurt. And I also need to drink some water because I believe it is just an ultrasound, like a more in-depth ultrasound of baby girl's heart. And we're getting this because my sister was born with a hole in the septum of her heart that originally was not seen, I believe, until her 1-year checkup or sometime after birth. They did not catch it in utero when my mom was pregnant with her, but she did have open heart surgery when she was 4, I believe. I was born, I think I was around 2, and I think she was around 4 when she had open heart surgery to repair that, and she's had no problems since. But because it is something that most likely developed in utero and it could be genetic, thankfully my brother and I don't have any heart issues, and the boys thus far haven't had anything. I can't remember if I did this when I was pregnant with them. Baby girl did have her 20-week ultrasound 2 weeks ago, and they didn't see anything in her heart, but like I said, I think this is just like a more in-depth ultrasound of her heart to double check and make sure. So that is why I'm getting the fetal echo done. But I forgot where I was going with that statement. Anyway, I'm going to run into Target super quick and pick up the few things that I need, and then jump back in the car and hopefully have time to eat something. Oh, now I remember what I was saying. I think I need to drink a lot of water because it is an ultrasound, and when I got my 20-week ultrasound, they do want you to have a full bladder. It somehow makes it easier for them to see things and read things. So I'm pretty sure the woman told me on the phone to drink a lot of water. So I'm going to go into Target, get what I need, hopefully get back into the car with some time to eat something, and then chug the water that I'm using as a tripod right now. Please excuse the lighting in this parking lot. It is not the best, but I just pulled up to the maternal fetal medicine where I have my fetal echo. I was able to eat the yogurt in the parking lot of Target, but I am hungry yet again. Like I said, it was a little bit of a ways away, so I'm going to have a Nutri-Grain granola bar quickly. I have to go to the bathroom so bad. I don't know why they make it so you have to have a full bladder pregnant, because that is so hard to do. I have to go to the bathroom so bad. But I'm quickly going to eat this. I'm assuming, just like with my 20-week ultrasound, I'm not going to be able to get any footage in there. They're pretty strict about these things and like filming in them. Did I just go ahead and scratch my face? But well, if I don't get any footage, like I said, I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know how quickly I'm gonna have to rush to get the boys, so most likely I'll have to give you guys some sort of an update later on in the day. But I'm gonna quickly eat this and head in. Good morning, guys. It is now Wednesday, so the last time you heard from me it was Monday, and I was heading to that fetal echo appointment. I don't know why, I feel like my brain is not working this morning. And then I told you guys I was going to continue the vlog today because I have the boys' 4-year checkup later on, and I figured I would take you guys along for that and then give you guys an update on the boys later on in this video. But I did not get to update you guys on how the fetal echo appointment for baby girl went, and it was a lot of information thrown at me, a lot of really helpful and useful information, and I feel really good about that appointment. So I quickly wanted to run through what I talked about with the cardiologist. So the overall appointment was about an hour and a half start to finish, about an hour for the physical ultrasound point of it, and then the doctor, the cardiologist, did come in and explain a lot of things to me. So obviously during the ultrasound, they're looking at the baby's heart, and at this point I am 22 weeks. Her heart is super tiny, and so it was a little difficult for them to get some of the images. They had me roll around and move around to get her in the right position, and I mentioned this when I got my 20-week ultrasound done, but baby girl is very active, and they're looking at super small anatomical parts of the heart, and sometimes a baby girl would wiggle and move right when they were about to capture the picture, and then they'd have to start all over. So it did take about an hour, which I kind of expected. They told me the appointment was going to be about 2 hours, so that was a realistic time frame. And then after that is when the cardiologist came in, and I believe I mentioned how I don't remember doing this for the boys, but I also don't know why I wouldn't have told my OB when I was pregnant with the boys about my sister's hole in her heart. That is like the one thing that I always mention, because it is something that had the potential of being genetic, which now I know it is something that is genetic. So I don't know why I never told my doctor about the history of that when I was pregnant with the boys, but I did not get a fetal echo done with the boys. So what I learned, what my sister had, is called ASD. There's 2 different kinds of holes in your hearts, ASD or I believe USD. ASD is in the upper chambers, and anatomically everyone in utero has a hole in between the upper chambers of their heart, and then shortly after birth that should close up. My sister's case was it didn't. She developed a heart murmur. They monitored it for another year or 2 to see if it was going to close up on its own, and by the time she was 4 it was not closing up, and my sister did go ahead and get open heart surgery. They cracked her from top to bottom, opened her chest, fixed the hole in her heart, and she hasn't had any issues since. My mom said she did then at that point get my brother and myself checked. I was born at this point, so I had seen a cardiologist, and my brother saw a cardiologist either in utero or shortly after to make sure that he didn't have the issue. If it is an issue of the other one, not ASD, I believe it's called USD, where there's a hole in the lower chambers of your heart, that is something that they can see in utero. I believe you could see that early on, and that is something that is not genetic but would need to be repaired. Like I mentioned, everyone in utero has the hole in between their upper chambers, so the ASD to a degree. So baby girl did not have anything wrong anatomically with like her pulmonary arteries and her aorta, and you know, she had 4 chambers of her heart. Everything anatomically was correct and how it was supposed to be, but we do need to monitor now after she's born to make sure the hole closes correctly in her heart, just like it should for everybody. So the cardiologist wants to see baby girl a month after she's born, and then I believe a year after she's born, to make sure that that hole is closing correctly. So as of right now, baby girl has nothing wrong anatomically with her heart, and there is nothing of concern. But we never wound up getting this done with the boys, and recently I took the boys to the doctor in the beginning of January because the flu was going around their class, and I thought that they were sick and had the flu. They wound up just having like a viral cold, but I did take them to their pediatrician to get seen, and both of them at that appointment had heart murmurs, and that was the first time I ever heard of them having heart murmurs. Even when Ben was hospitalized for RSV and he was constantly being checked, no one said anything about him having a heart murmur. So we don't know if it's the case of their hearts were working overtime because they were sick with a viral infection and that is why we heard a murmur, or if they are having murmurs in their heart because their hole in between their 2 upper chambers did not close correctly, like what happened with my sister. So I did go ahead and make cardiologist appointments for both of them. I did 2 separate appointments because they are going to be 2 hours long each. So one of them is going in the end of April and one of them is going in the beginning of May. I want to get these done before baby girl comes so I could check that off my list. I now have to like plan ahead and know that I'm going to have a third to worry about and to schedule things with. So I wanted to get them done and seen before I had baby girl. So they will go and get their hearts checked in April and in May. Like I mentioned, we have their 4-year checkup appointment today, so I'll have them listen to see if that murmur is still there. Even if it isn't, I want to get them checked. And the cardiologist did explain to me that this is something that is deemed genetic. I don't have it. Like I mentioned, my mom had me checked when I was little. I never had any murmurs or anything. But if Harris and I were to have kids in the future, I would have to get them checked. My sister needs to get her kids checked. My brother needs to get his kids checked. When they go ahead and start having babies, they'll have to do like fetal echoes, and my brother's partner will have to do fetal echoes and all that kind of stuff, because this is something that is genetic. My parents don't have it. We don't really know where and how it started, but it started with my sister, and so I could check this off the list for baby girl. Nothing to be concerned about until 1 month after she's born. We'll get her checked again, and then a year after. And then as for the boys, I'm going to get them seen in the next few months to get that checked off my list. So that is an overall cardiologist appointment update for my kids. So now the boys are at school. It's pretty early in the day. I'm going to relax, and then I have to pick them up from school, and right from school we'll go to their 4-year checkup, and then we'll come back and either today or some point tomorrow, I'll give you guys a quick rundown on the boys. I feel like it's not going to be that much and that in depth like the earlier updates in their life. I'll just update you guys on how tall they are, how much they weigh. I'll update you guys on the heart murmurs. And I know like developmentally and everything, the boys are doing great. So like that I don't really need to go into depth about. I'm very interested after I have baby girl to go back and watch the boys' previous updates, because I feel like everything and all the time was meshed together, and it's hard to pinpoint what they were doing at 6 months old, how they were sleeping, how they were eating. So I am glad I have all of the update videos filmed for the boys, because I think they're going to be helpful for me. But I'll give you guys like a very brief update on the boys later on. You got bubble gum? How? Jump out. Yeah, but I'm probably gonna have to get you on the other side. There's a pole in the way. See? Too tight. Can you squeeze out, you think?
Sure.
Wanna try? Let's check both ways. No cars?
I'm a little tiny.
This one.
Try come back.
Come on. Pull. Yeah.
I can fit. I'm fitting. You are the line leader.
Did you do good with your seeing game? That's kind of hard. They had them do like the eye cover sight test. They did it with shapes though. They did pretty good.
It will be 2 eyes with that game.
I know, but they want to test one eyeball at a time. So that's why they have you cover one eyeball at a time.
But if you cover 2 eyeballs, then we can see.
No, yeah, you're right. Then you'd have your eyes closed. What are you doing? Having a snack? Okay guys, it is now Thursday and I'm going to sit down to edit this video, but I wanted to give you guys a quick little update on the boys' 4-year checkup. It was probably one of the quickest checkups. Obviously, when they're a lot younger, there's a lot more that needs to be looked at and checked. This time around, I basically just filled out a questionnaire about different developmental milestones and things that the boys can or cannot do, which they were pretty much able to do everything. I think the only one that I put like not really for an answer was follow steps in like a board game. I feel like that's still a little bit too advanced for them, but everything else, like using words like tomorrow and yesterday, bigger and smaller, simple things like that, the boys can do. So I filled that questionnaire out. They did have to do the sight test, which I thought was kind of hard for their age to understand that concept. They did okay with it. She said their vision was 20/50 because she had to go up a few in size with the shapes that they had to look at. But I don't know if that was just them being distracted by one another and not understanding how to do it, or if they really cannot see. She said typically around age 5 is when kids develop like 20/20 vision, if they're going to have 20/20 vision. But both Harris and I had glasses as kids. I still wear glasses. Harris still wears his glasses 24/7. He takes them off to sleep and that's it. So there is probably a chance that they have some like deficit in their sight. So we got numbers for an optometrist. She said we really don't have to rush to take them there. If we see them squinting or struggling to see the TV, or if we test them ourselves at home and hold things up and see if they can see it, and they have some difficulty with that, we can make that appointment sooner. But she said we could probably make it closer to 5, and they will of course check their sight again next year. They passed their hearing test fine. Height and weight, she said they both grew like 4 or 5 inches. Jack is a half an inch taller than Ben, which I assumed because I made them stand back to back in the tub a few months ago, and Jack visibly is taller than Ben. They weigh exactly the same, which is always the case for them. However, she said they only gained like 2.5 to 3 pounds over the last year, and typically kids gain like 4 to 5 pounds at this age. They are still growing on their own curve, but they are kind of leveling out. So she just wants me to incorporate more high-fat foods into their diet. I told her they literally eat me out of house and home. They are really good eaters. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, multiple snacks a day. They will basically eat anything that I put in front of them. I have stopped buying yogurt. So that's a high-fat snack that I need to start buying again for them to have. She said I could give them more glasses of milk, cheese, meat, things like that. I know that'll be easy to incorporate into their diet, but they are still growing like on trend with their own little curves, so that is good. Height, they grew a few inches, I said. I'm trying to think what else. She did listen to their hearts. She does hear a little flutter, a little murmur still. She said she never heard it, obviously, in the hospital after they were born, when they were younger, their first 3-year checkups. Like, this is the first time, starting back in January when I took them to the doctor when they were sick, this is the first time that they are hearing it. So she doesn't think it's ASD related, like how I mentioned yesterday. It could be. Like I already said, I have cardiologist appointments scheduled for them, so that's good. We'll at least get like a full workup and check on their heart in the next few months. So I'm not too worried about that. It doesn't seem to be affecting them in any way. So that was like the main question that I had for her, was if she still heard that. But other than that, they are growing. They are thriving 4-year-olds. And they don't go back for another year. They did have to get the chickenpox booster shot. I have no idea what's going on my face right here. I think it's like a dry spot. They did have to get their chickenpox booster shot, and I swear to God, it was easier to have them get shots when they were younger. This time around, and I know going forward, they're going to remember this now every time we go to this doctor. It was so hard once they heard they had to get a shot, and I took their arms out of their sweatshirts. It was meltdown central. Even afterwards, even today, they're still telling me that their arm is sore, which it most likely is. Every time you get a shot, like the flu shot or anything, your arm is sore. But they were so scared, crying, in pain. Jack cried for like an hour after and just kept saying he's scared, he's scared. And I kept saying, you're done. You got one. You don't need to worry about it until next year. Just forget about it. That was like the biggest calamity of the entire thing being there. But other than that, they really cooperated really well. Like I said, they're growing, they're thriving, and there really isn't too much to be concerned about. We're gonna get their hearts checked, and if I think that they need to get their eyes checked in the next year, I have phone numbers and I can take them. So that is it. That's a little update on the boys. Little update on baby girl's heart. So far, everything looks good. And I guess that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Next video is going to be, I don't know, I guess a weekend vlog. I don't really know what I have going on this weekend. We'll kind of have to see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.